Hello guys, I'm back, and I think it's time that we have a serious talk about some issues again. I don't know what's going on at the moment, but it really seems like ZeniMax is neglecting ESO. There's a lot of things that are going the wrong way at the moment, and a lot of people are pretty pissed off, and I think they're right. So let's talk about some issues here. The first thing I want to talk about is still the most obvious issue we have, and it's the lag. Still, it is still there. Nothing has changed. We know that we knew that this is not going to be fixed anytime soon, but man, it's been 5 years and nothing has changed really. It's actually getting worse. The performance since Elsweyr dropped, man, it has been less than optimal. A lot of people are really having massive issues. A lot of people are quitting or taking breaks right now. I noticed it too. I try to play little off hours. I'm try to stay away from primetime PvP, but yeah, I can still feel it. Sometimes I log on very early in the day and I still get like pretty bad lag, giant zergs running around, and man, it's kind of embarrassing at this point. So yeah, lag. I don't know when it's going to be fixed. Probably never. Let's be realistic here. And this brings me to the next point, which is the overall performance of the game feels really, really bad. I mean, this is the lag, this is the FPS in general, it's long load screens. Um, it just the whole game feels weird. There's some bugs going on right now where your block isn't working, where your dodge rolls aren't working. The game just doesn't accept these inputs for some reason. It gets me killed a lot because I kind of rely on these mechanics. So yeah, that is pretty bad. And then of course, not only does the FPS seem to be worse now, but we also have some pretty beefy FPS drops all throughout the gameplay. There's certain areas in Cyrodiil where I always notice some FPS drops, pretty substantial ones. So this is pretty predictable. I know it's gonna happen when I go into these areas. It's not for long. It's for like 5 seconds, and then it's back to normal. But man, it is really annoying because this didn't used to happen, and this is also not something that's only happening on my PC. I tried this game on 3 different PCs, and it's always happening in the same spots. So yeah, and then of course it seems like there's a memory leak again or something like that because the longer I play, the worse these FPS drops get, which is super annoying. And after a while, I mean, it really takes the fun out of the game, especially if you get into a fight and you have to deal with the frames breaking down to like 20 FPS, which is not actually 20 FPS because it's really stuttery um, on top of the low FPS, and you basically can't see anything for a couple seconds. So yeah, that's really annoying, but I don't know what to do about this. Like I said, I tested it on a couple different computers, and it keeps happening on all of them. So yeah, probably nothing we can do. Hope ZeniMax fixes that. The next thing is, speaking of fixing things, there's a lot of bugs in the game still. Old bugs, new bugs, and they're not getting fixed. This Today is Monday. Monday is usually patch day, maintenance day, but ZeniMax canceled the maintenance for today. There's no there's no patch. There's no fixes this week. Which is kind of weird because we have a lot of issues going on, and I don't think they they should drop the maintenance and the patches for 1 week. Um, I don't know what's going on right now. People are probably on vacation or something, but man, we're still paying money for this game, so you can't just not fix the issues. That's not acceptable. It really isn't. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. We have so many bugs right now. It just keeps getting more and more, and apparently no one is there in the office to actually take care of it. So that's pretty bad for the game. It really is. Um, let's move on to the next point. Um, I talked about this before. Necro is still pretty shit. Nothing really has changed. There's still massive issues with the class. There's stuff missing. Some stuff isn't working. Um, then of course we still have the Bash Ultimate, which is way too OP right now. It is way too strong. ZeniMax made an official statement saying that they know it's strong, but they think it's okay. But honestly, it doesn't matter what they think is okay because they are not paying customers. They don't have to play this game and they don't have to pay money for it. We are paying customers and they should listen to us. It doesn't matter what ZeniMax thinks is okay. The players have talked about this a lot in videos, on the forums, on Twitter, in streams. Um, no one really likes it. I mean, there's of course a lot of people exploiting, and I call it exploiting because it's too much. It's just too much. You can't just jump into a Zerg and bash 5 times and everyone dies. That's not okay. Sorry. I know you guys like it. Everyone wants to be OP once in a while, but man, it's just too much. I mean, you get like 2.5 bashes per second out. That is too much. You can die in 1 second to like massive bashes. I got hit by 12k bashes. That's really not okay. That's basically like 2.5 ultimates hitting you per second. No, just no, ZeniMax. we can't keep it like this. And then of course there's some bugs that come with the Necro Bash Ultimate. Mainly the bug that you can actually bash down a bridge. So that apparently is a thing. I saw it. I saw it happening, and I couldn't believe my eyes. So basically, the Necro Bash seems to be, well, it is an AoE, but it seems to hit the bridge when you do it. So you can actually bash down a bridge like pretty easily. And yeah, that's not okay, ZeniMax. I don't know why this is a thing. I'm pretty sure it's not intended, but yeah, this is one of the things that needs to get fixed as soon as possible. That's why we can't just have like a week off with no bug fixes or anything. This stuff needs to be fixed. It's game breaking, because you don't want a couple necros to be on the bridge while there's a fight going on, just bashing down the entire bridge and like 20, 30 people just falling into the water and dying. No one wants that, and it's very easily exploitable, and yeah, it's a big no-go. It really is. Um, this leads me into um, another thing that's pretty broken at the moment, and that is the overload heavy attack. I don't know if they changed something about it, but the past 2 days, I had a couple Sorks fight me with insane overload heavy attacks. We're talking like 16k per tick. 16k per tick. That's not okay. Um, I had like between 8k and 16k, like all kinds of overloads from different people, and even 8k per tick is a little much because you can't really do anything against that. It just melts you right away. And the you know the range on the overload heavy attack seems to have been increased now. It's a giant cone, and apparently it's also ignoring height, which means um, you can basically be at the top of the bridge tower, and someone could be at the bottom, and they could just heavy attack, overload heavy attack, and you get hit up top. I can show you a little clip of that. I it happened to me a couple days ago on stream. I couldn't believe it because I was alone on top of the a bridge tower, and people were fighting down below, and I suddenly dropped dead, and I thought I got ganked, and then I looked at the death recap, and it said I got hit by overload heavy attack that did massive amounts of damage, and I couldn't believe it. So yeah, it is pretty broken at the moment. It ignores height, so you basically hit everyone above and below you while you're using this, and it has a pretty long range as well. I think it's 15 meters now, which is, I don't know, man, it's a bit much. The range and the damage and the cost, yeah, that's not okay, ZeniMax. Someone said you could also overload heavy attack the bridge. I don't know if that is actually a thing. I've never seen it, but if that's true, then man, ZeniMax, what are you doing? Come on, fix it. So this leads me to one conclusion, and that is that ZeniMax is massively disconnected from the actual player community. Um, there doesn't seem to be any official statements really tackling the issues that we have at the moment. There doesn't seem to be anyone really caring about the issues, the balance issues, the bugs, the lag that we have, and yeah, I really don't know what's going on right now with ZeniMax. They really seem to neglect the game, and which is kind of weird because they just recently bragged about their 13 million players that they now have, and they said they're killing it, quote unquote. They're killing it. Now, the question is, what exactly are they killing? The game? The performance? The player base? Probably. I don't know. It's a weird move to just brag about this and to say we're killing it, because you're obviously not killing it. The game is riddled with bugs. It's not working correctly. People are upset. People are quitting. People are taking breaks because nothing is working. You released a half finished class that cost $40. $40 just for people to realize that the class is not working. That's not okay, ZeniMax. And that's not what I consider killing it. You know, just because you have a lot of like accounts for ESO, there's probably a lot of inactive accounts in these 13 million. Just because you have a lot of accounts doesn't mean your game is good. Okay? This is just quantity over quality, and no one likes that. Because, you know, when I play PvP, I don't benefit from you having 13 million accounts. That's not benefiting me in any way. So I wouldn't call that killing it. And of course, people are really pissed off. So am I. A lot of streamers are really, really annoyed by the state of the game and the massive disconnect. And yeah, I just wish someone would finally come out and say something. I want an official statement from ZeniMax. I want plans. You know, I want not only like plans and promises, but I really want to see something now. Um, this year is supposed to be like a massive year for ESO, content wise, and yeah, honestly, things have to happen. Otherwise, there's not going to be anyone playing the game anymore in a couple of years. And it's really sad that they focus so much on new players and they don't care about keeping the old players around. Um, you know, it all started when they stopped doing the loyalty rewards for ESO Plus subs. So yeah, it started back then. Now it's just Crown Store bullshit. You know, buy a new reskinned mount, pay 5K for it. You know, buy a new mansion for 15K or something like that. It's absurd amounts of money, and then of course the crown crates and the shitty RNG just all throughout the game. And Yeah, I don't know, man. It really, for me as an old player, I've been playing since the beta. For me as an old player, I feel really neglected. I feel like my voice doesn't mean anything. ZeniMax doesn't care about me, about my needs, what I want. All they care about is getting new players into the game, getting some money from them, and then they just drop them as they dropped all the other old players. And I mean, I get it. As a business, that's probably the most lucrative way to go about it. People come in, they pay a couple bucks for the game. They might buy something in the Crown Store, or they might, subscribe to ESO Plus for a month or something, and then they never play the game again. And ZeniMax doesn't have to care about them anymore. And there's new players coming, and they pay the money, and they disappear. So I don't know. ZeniMax is probably killing it, but man, that's not the way a gaming company should behave. Because money isn't everything. You kind of need some people that are actually playing your game, and especially content creators are pretty important for the game. I would think. So yeah, ZeniMax, come on, you can do better. The next thing I want to talk about is the ongoing tank meta. I'm pretty annoyed by the amount of tanky players. I mean, I get it. Everyone wants to be tanky. Everyone wants to do the 1vx fights. I get it, but man, it's just too much. We got to reduce the tankiness because it's not just resistances. We have resistances, we have crit resist, we have major and minor protection. We have um, different standalone damage reduction buffs from sets and skills. We have the CP on top of that reduces damage from multiple sources. And if you just keep adding stuff like that up, it's getting to a point where even a glass cannon build can't do any damage to a tanky player anymore, and that is really bad for the game, and that's not how it should be. So I really hope we can do something about the tank meta. Um, I think the overall tankiness should be reduced by like 10-15%, maybe 20%. I would like to see that. So if you want to be tanky, you really have to invest into a tank build, and then you can't run the amount of damage that people run at the moment. Because quite honestly, I'm pretty sick of, fighting someone who doesn't take any damage and can just tank 10 people for like 5 minutes, and then he just turns around and one shots 3 people with a Dawnbreaker. That's something that shouldn't happen. As much as I love buildcraft and I like strong builds and unique builds, but that's not good for the game because that is unbalanced. It really is. So I hope we can get rid of the tank meta soon because it really limits um, buildcraft a lot. Because if you want to be successful, you got to run certain builds. You know, you got to run a lot of penetration, and you got to have a lot of tricks up your sleeve to deal with that. And I don't know. I think that's super super bad for the game. I think that is really really bad. Because I want to play different builds, and I can't just do the same build over and over and over again just to counter a tank. That's just, that's no fun for me. And it's also no fun for my viewers because they want to see different builds from me. And, I actually have a lot of builds in the pipeline that I want to show you, but I just can't get the PvP footage because all I get is, a Zerg or a tank. And I just can't find any decent small scale or solo PvP. So that's an issue right now, and really limits the amount of videos that I can do right now. As you might have guessed, by the amount of videos I uploaded lately, something must be wrong, and yeah, something is wrong, and that's actually the tank meta that's really preventing me from getting a decent footage for my PvP builds. So I'll keep working on it, but we'll see how it goes. And the last thing I want to address is the overbuffed DK whip, the new whip. I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's almost the same as the tank meta. The issue with the tank meta is, you put on 7th Legion, you put on Fury, and then, you just tank it out until all your sets are procced, and then you turn around and one-shot someone with a Dawnbreaker. And someone who's that tanky shouldn't have this amount of damage. And the same thing is now possible with like tanky DKs. You know, they get really tanky. They have a lot of sustain. They have a lot of resistances and damage mitigation buffs, and then they still get a pretty beefy whip. That's just not good. If you want the beefy whip, you got to build the damage. Okay, you got to build for it. You can't just get it for free on a tank build. That is, who came up with this? Honestly, for me as like an old school DK main, this hurts my soul. Because I built for this damage. I built for nice glass cannon, Magicka DK damage. I got nice beefy whips. But man, seeing people getting it for free, not a fan of it. Not a fan of it. Sorry, but it's just, I gotta say it. I gotta be honest here. I don't like it. So yeah, guys, that's about it. That's all the topics I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you think about the game. How do you like the game at the moment? Are you actually enjoying PvP, or are you sick of it and are you taking a break, or are you planning on leaving the game maybe? Let me know what you think about the issues we talked about, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.